Hello and welcome to the Ohio Eternal Podcast, episode 2, where we're talking about, again, prepping for Eternal Weekend this year. It's just about, a month away? And just getting ready. What are we doing? What are we doing to plan? How are we, going through each and every day, just getting ready for the biggest event in North America for the formats that we love. So today we are joined by not one, but two awesome guests. We have Mr. Tony Plowshares, Tony P, and Jake Endicott. So we wanted to cover, again, some changes from the last episode, talking about, going into Eternal Weekend and playing, Tony being on lands. That's been shaken up a little bit. Also got some new swag. So if you're watching the video version of this, these are our Eternal Weekend Eternal Weekend podcast tokens, which are pretty dope, representing Ben on Storm. Used to be Tony on lands with the Merit Lage. I'm pretty sure this new deck that you're playing does not need this token, so we're going to have to get a reprint.
Nope.
And then my Blood Moon Goblin for Prison. So find us at Eternal Weekend to get those. Also, I am currently at MagicCon, so wanted to show some cool stuff that I've gotten already. This is day 1 of MagicCon. We're going to be playing the Spooky Cube, which is up on our Mox field. And these are the cool mats that we got to play. 4 of these to play. So I thought they were pretty dope. Wanted to show those as some new swag that we got going on. We do have some Ohio Eternal playmats that are in the works. Probably not going to be ready by Eternal Weekend, but our first event that we're going to do in the new year, they should be ready for that. So that's kind of our change log. Now, if you're on the video, you see a list that is on the screen. Okay, so Tony wanted to do an episode about sleeper builds that people aren't paying attention to going into Eternal Weekend. So Tony, share us the thought process, going into Eternal Weekend, your list that you're wanting to play, the changes you've made, and some other things, other lists that you think that are going to make an impact.
Okay, so yeah, right. I was originally on lands diehard lands guy, and it's just not well positioned, kind of, pretty obvious. Like the format's super fast right now, and I started exploring other options of what would be, competitive. Don't want to really do the whole blue-black reanimate thing, blue-black really anything. Because, those guys that you're going to queue into that are like pseudo Delver players, those guys have been doing it for so long. I don't really want to do the Battle of Wits with them. And so I started exploring other options, and I stumbled upon Cephalid Breakfast. And it's really unique. I've kind of been destroying people on Moto with it, and it's been putting up really significant numbers on Moto lately. And I think that it's a kind of sleeper deck for, really the format and Eternal Weekend. So even though it's graveyard based, mostly, and we'll get to that, it is, it's a super fast combo deck, but also has your permission with Force, Days, Swords of Plowshares. So, you really get, your best of both worlds. And I think it's super well positioned. So
I just want to backpedal a little bit. So what is it about lands that you don't feel is fast enough, or what about lands don't you think will be able to close this year?
So I think the format inherently is so fast that playing a Life Millennium Wasteland strategy, or even an Urza Saga strategy, lands has pivoted so hard to a 3-4 or 4-4 depth stage strategy just to keep up with the format, that where its fallback plan is Life Millennium Wasteland, Life Millennium Urza Saga. It's just too slow to compete with a lot of decks Entomb Reanimate, or, they just combo kill you on turn 1. It's really hard to compete with that with where your best spells are crop rotation and Urza Saga and Life from the Loam. Like, those strategies just don't align with the current metagame, especially, and then like you have like Blood Moons running rampant and like other decks that are just so fast that just don't care about what you're doing. So like I've always felt like anytime that I queue up lands, I feel favored because I'm playing lands and I've played lands for a long time. So like I know what's going on there. But anytime that I queue into anybody, I feel like I'm fighting an uphill battle, and that's not where you want to be. Lands is inherently favored in a metagame that's like solved. So in a metagame that's solved, that's too fast to keep up with like inherently what you're doing, I just feel behind the back pedal. So
And now I want to point out what you mean by solved is we have a couple things that are affecting the meta right now. We have Grief being banned. We have obviously Modern Horizons 3 cards. Still, I mean, they've been out for a minute, but there's still some kind of changes that are going on. But I think that's pretty much it, right? I mean, it's not like there's a lot of Dustmorn playables or anything like that. Those are probably the biggest changes that you're talking about, right?
yeah.
So let's take a look at your list that you're looking at right now. I mean, obviously, there's still some time to change. Starting off at the top. So, we have 3 fairy in there, which is nice because, again, the counter magic not being an issue for, getting your stuff out there, having protection. Also returning, if we look at the big things that are in the format, I mean, target artifact, creature, or enchantment. So Meon Prison affecting my Blood Moon effects. Any other, things that would kind of slow you down, getting rid of those seems good. What other ways have you used Teferi in the leagues that you've done? Because you've played, what, 5 leagues, 6 leagues so far?
Yeah, something like that. And I mean, like, overall, my record is, like, extremely impressive for, like, just picking a deck up. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, I'm something like 15 out of 20 matches, like, positive. Like, it's ridiculous.
Wow.
So, I mean, yeah, like, Teferi just solves a lot of issues, because, like, even, like, post-board, your prismatic ending can only go to, like, 3, like, really even 4 with, like, the Singleton Lotus Petal. And like Teferi like just like bounces Leyline of the Void. Like it just like solves like a lot of issues. It can bounce like a Vexing Bauble, it can bounce like a Chalice, it like it just deals with everything. It bounces Spell Bomb. So Teferi's minus ability is really relevant, but then it's also its static ability is super relevant because it stops like consign to memory, like counter spells. So I mean Teferi in itself is just like intrinsically really good. And
So take me
then
through the rest of this. So we have
okay.
the Illusionist. So how do you win?
Okay, so like you ended up like milling your library like the combo way is like you use like Nomad's Encore with Cephalid Illusionist or Shuko with Cephalid Illusionist, mill your library, trigger Narcomoebas come into play, and then sack those to Dread Return to target Thassa's Oracle and win that way. So the interesting things, like this is a pretty stock list. So the interesting things that I wanted to point out with this list is it's actually playing days. So like I'm playing 2 days right now. And I almost want to go to 3 days. I'm trying to figure out like where I can like trim a card to do that. To just like force the combo game 1. And then also the list like plays your traditional like pseudo control blue spells, like your like core 12 blue of like Brainstorm, Ponders, Force of Wills, and then it also plays Swords to Plowshares. So like you're like this kind of like blue white control deck in a way. But then the really, really relevant thing that I think has pushed this deck like even farther is like NADU. So like NADU recently banned in Modern, with Shuko and Nomad's Encore is just like this really egregious value engine that like, okay, you have Graveyard Hate, you have a Vexing Bauble even, like you have anything going on that like shuts off my like Dread Return Thassa's Oracle. I just play NADU and then draw a billion cards and like figure some way out of like whatever you got going on. And then like third game plan in an essence is just, all right, I start turning like NADUs and like Urza Saga tokens sideways. And, I have this like battlefield that, is kind of hard to deal with, like with Force of Wills and stuff. So like overall, the deck just kind of really has everything going for it. It's kind of really impressive, to be honest with you.
Right.
Um,
So
so like to kind of like bring Jake into this conversation, I just like played a couple of games against him like in paper and like was talking to him about it because he's like been a real big blue-black guy for a while and like
I like Reanimator, but to have
So-
him to parry out and not be able to interact with his combo or him having a counter spell to protect his combo when I have the answer is a big advantage for him.
So one question that I kind of had on the blue-black side is, they're planning for the mirror, but also for the Reanimator plan. So on Tempo, this is just a Tempo list that took second on the last challenge. Are you concerned about the 3 spell bombs in the main? Because like I'm looking at this list, things that kind of hurt you or harm you. Starting at the top, we have the Bowmasters, we have Fatal Push, we have obviously the Borrower, Shoot the Sheriff, Thoughtseize, and Spellbomb. I mean, I feel like those are all things that like really affect your plan. So when you've been queuing up, I mean, have you been playing against a lot of the tempo stuff?
No, I'd be more worried about the Thoughtseize than the spell bombs, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Because at least when you go to the sideboard, you have Consign
Okay.
to help protect everything.
Yeah, and I mean, what's cool about NADU though, I mean, you're not only winning through the graveyard, right?
right.
You're
Yeah,
not
like
only, I mean, you're not just doing the breakfast plan with NADU. It gives you more ability, right? I mean, because just the amount of card draw
Yeah.
that you have, and
yeah, like
advantage.
yeah, like just being able to like draw like a billion cards, like if you have like Nomads plus Nadu, in theory, like if both of those cards stay on the like battlefield, by the time your opponent gets a next draw step, you've drawn 8 cards just with those 2 cards in play.
right.
So like I've double Ancestral Recalled plus by the time that you like get to draw a card. And then like we go back to my turn and then I get to draw 4 more cards. So like I've seen 12 cards, 13 cards plus my original draw step, like since Nadu lost Summoning Sickness. And it like it almost doesn't even matter. It's like a Tamiyo like ultimate. Like it almost doesn't even matter like what you're doing at that point. Like I've seen so many cards that like I just have answers for a lot of things. So it's really a good value engine that I can just play through a lot of things. And then with the addition of Memory's Journey, like Memory's Journey has been a big addition to the deck. It's an older card, but like it allows you to play through Vexing Baubles, like even Graveyard Hate. Like if you have Nomads in play and they like randomly fire off a Fairy Macabre and I have a green mana source available, like you can just like instant speed respond with more Nomads triggers to find the Memory's Journey, to flashback the Memory's Journey, to target your Thassa's Oracle, put it on top of your deck, and then just like pass the turn. And then be like, cool, when I draw, you're dead. Like, so I mean, it gives you a lot of different lines to like, and also it lets you create like your pseudo Doomsday piles. So, like, if you're playing against a counterspell deck and you're like, cool, like you counter my Dread Return, like I can just go to my upkeep, Memory's Journey, put Cavern and Thoracle on top of my library, and then like, good luck, blue deck. You have one more turn to like figure out an answer for this before I just draw like an uncounterable Thassa's Oracle.
Right.
So it like breakfast has been like really, really impressive for me. And like to say that, and then for me as a Magic player to like also switch off of something that I'm so comfortable with, like in lands. Like I mean, like and Jake can attest to this. Like I've been playing with him a lot in paper over the years. Like for me to switch off lands like that's a big thing.
It is.
And that's what we were talking a little bit beforehand. Like, is it what is that something you've been playing for, 2 to 3 years compared to, coming into a deck that is a little bit new? I mean, you're putting in the work, obviously, and you're fine tuning and, that, I just wonder, for me going into an event like that where maybe, online's a lot different, but playing it in paper, but it sounds like even tonight in paper, it was feeling pretty good.
Yeah. Like, it honestly, like, it's been a long time since I've felt a deck like this that just, like, feels like when you get, like, your, like, busted hands of, like, exploration, loam, wasteland type deal, like, turn one on the play against, like, pretty much any deck that's not playing a lot of basics with lands, for instance, like, you almost feel unbeatable. And then, like, it's just, like, a lot of the play patterns of Breakfast, like, feel like that more often, if that makes sense. So, like, you feel like you have a lot of answers, or, like, you can just, like, do your thing pretty reliantly against a lot of decks, and, like, it's just fast enough for the format, right? Like, you can just, like, 2-card, like, combo people on turn 2, like, like, against Eldrazi, like, that's the plan. Like, just turn 2 Eldrazi, cool, good luck. You can interact with me, and if you can't, I have a Force of Will. Like, good luck.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that. So what are some other decks that we think are going to be sleeper builds coming up to Eternal Weekend this year? What other ones are you thinking?
So I've kind of talked with you guys a little bit about this, and I know that 2 of my friends that are going to Eternal Weekend are actually on Blue Black Ninjas.
I just saw
That's a
that
good deck.
list. Yeah. Especially with the
Yeah,
new
Kaito.
Planeswalker. Yeah. That looks sweet. I actually had a list. It's actually on my work computer. I had it up because I was just looking at it yesterday. That list looks fun.
It's super good. Like, I haven't played the deck, but, like, I've played against it, and I've seen people play the deck, and it is really, really good. It just, like, for whatever reason, and I don't know what that reason is, but, like, it's really, like, decently well positioned against blue black anything. And it's like, you're fighting on this axis of, like, combat damage, and, like, just, like, you also have, like, the 4 stays package against, like, the other tempo decks, but, like, your creatures are just, like, anytime that they do, like, damage or anything like that to somebody, like, it's just really, really beneficial for you. And then you can also play, like, Psychic Frogs and Tamios, so, like, you're also playing, like, the good stuff, but, like, Tameo flies, and you can ninjutsu Tameo, so,
Right.
like, it's like you're doing all the things that they are, but you're fighting on a completely different axis.
Right. So it's
And
like 0, good. Does that get through? Oh, yeah. Boom. Ninjutsu. God, I love
yeah,
that.
like, Ornithopter, cool. Does that get through? Sure. Eureka, like, flip
Yeah.
a Force of Will, like, you just took 6. Like, that sucks.
So
So
good.
it's
Yep.
it's really
Brainstorm,
interesting
Fatal
as
Push
far as that.
Days. Interesting. So Singing the Stupor.
Yeah, I know 2 of my buddies that are, like, intrinsically, like, well, the one guy normally plays lands, and the other guy normally plays, like, Infect, and they're both actually playing Ninjas at Eternal Weekend because, like, it's really good against, like, the top couple of decks. So
It is.
Yeah, 5-0 here. Boom, boom. So one that I think is going to do well, which I like and I want to play a couple games this week, is it's like Tempo Doomsday. So
yeah,
it's
Oh,
blue-black. So game 1, you're doing the Doomsday thing. And then game 2, you're just going to like a tempo plan. So the deck is kind of changing what it does based on the matchup. And now you're throwing the frog out there. You're doing off-tempo things. And then game 3, like, they don't know what to expect, right? Because you board in for a combo, and now you're just being hit with freaking frogs and, like, just a totally different game plan. And then game 3, it's like, well, what worked best? You know what I mean? And I was listening to a
yeah,
podcast the other day for a Doomsday. I want to say he went like 9-0 with it in the last challenge. And he's like, sometimes I just sit on the screen so it looks like I'm sideboarding again between game 2 and 3, and I leave it the same. And other times I just go super fast so they think that it is the same, but really it's just the Doomsday pile back in. And I was like, that deck is freaking cool. I mean, like, just to have that tempo deck with a, combo finish, or, I mean, Doomsday can be very, very fast. You know what I mean? Especially with the right draws. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he, like I said in the last challenge, he went 9-0. So I think that one potentially has some legs too, going into Eternal Weekend. What other ones are you thinking? So that's 3 so
Blue
far, right?
White
We have
Control.
NADU, Ninjas, and
Blue White Control / Just Guy Control.
Jeskai
That'd be a
Control.
really good deck.
So I've been playing
Really surprised people.
Jessica Aggro, which has been super fun. I feel like I always have answers, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so what do you think about Jeskai Control? What do you think is going to be good for, out of that deck?
Well, have a Narset, and then you have little Teferi, obviously. You have all kinds of answers like swords, and they play counterspell. I mean, Days Undoing, Supreme Verdicts in the main, Lawrence Reveal, Force of Will, obviously.
And that's a Snapcaster build, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Snapcaster build. It just has answers to what you're going to see in the combo decks.
And that's what I like. I do like about Jeskai is I just feel like there's a lot of options, right? Like you're playing some of the best cards in Magic.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of answers to, what you're going to see in the sideboard too, like the Harbinger of the Seas, the Consigns, like going with a more aggressive.
Basic,
yes.
Wrath of Skies.
So,
Wrath of Skies is a great board wipe for a lot of stuff.
oh yeah. 2 back to basics.
Yeah, like that list, like to me, it's like you have enough answers like with swords and spell pierce and force of will to like get past the first like 2-3 turns of the game. Then like if you hit turn 4 against like anything, you're like, cool, I have this uncounterable Wrath of God that just like resets the board with like your frogs and like whatever like ridiculousness that you reanimated or like Tameo that you played that like hasn't flipped yet or whatever. Or like against Eldrazi or like anything like that. And then you're also playing like a lot of these basic lands that like just like don't care about Blood Moon. You're like, cool, you have a Blood Moon. Like I have like 6 or 7 basics in my deck. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
So like you can just like play through a Blood Moon.
Just having the Narset to slow down the card advantage is huge.
Yeah, Narset, like cool, Narset, you don't get to brainstorm anymore, and I now find a Supreme Verdict and like reset the board, and like now the game is drastically different.
And just to be clear, the Narset does not stop Nadu though, because you're revealing it and you're putting.
That's why Breakfast is still a better deck in my opinion.
Breakfast is nuts, dude. It's nuts. I'm like, I've never like actively been a blue guy, and I'm not like, I'm gonna register brainstorm no matter what tournament I go to. Like, but like right now, I'm like, what brainstorm art do I want to play? Like, it's that good. Like,
currently at MagicCon, there is a foil of the I think it's the OG art with I don't know if it's a Judge promo or what, and it's like $300. And
you turned me off when it said foil.
I know, but it might still come home with me because it is so sick.
Well, with you, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like foils. Sorry.
I gotta have different arts, man, on all of them.
Yeah, it's got to be a commander deck. It's got to be a commander deck, but like in Legacy, right?
Right.
I know. Like, and I mean, for me, like, and I think I sent you a picture of like my actual like paper list today.
Yeah.
It was like all, I mean, it's always all original, like art, like beta everything, like, because you just can't not, right?
Right. I just love that. Also, I want to point out that Wizards came out and said NADU was a design mistake. So in true Legacy fashion, like we have to play it and like use it as much as we can because we love all of the broken cards. And I love that.
It is a broken card. It was a broken card in Modern. That took forever for games to resolve. I'm not surprised it's a broken card in Legacy.
And that's the thing too. Like, do you think that after Eternal Weekend we're going to see a ban on it? Do you think it's going to be that oppressive?
No, I think there's enough features in Legacy to put it in its place and make it all even. Like, there's so many answers in Magic and Legacy that you can pretty much play whatever.
That's what I'm like thinking. I mean, even in the prison, like the prison community right now, it's like, okay, well, what are we doing to, we're so focused on blue black right now. I mean, we're not really even
Yeah.
talking too much
Yeah,
about
NADU's
NADU
not
right now.
even on your radar right now.
It's
Everybody's worried
not.
about Reanimator.
Yep.
How do I
100%.
stop Reanimator? How do I stop
I
them turn
and I
one or turn two and I try stuff?
So, question, Tony, you have a Lotus Petal. So, in the prison matchup, what are you doing for your green mana? Oh, you have Cavernous Souls, making it uncounterable. Okay. Oh, but no, it's gone with thing.
yeah, so I have Cavern, and like, I mean, really, like, if you're like proactive and you're just like nomads or like Shuko gets found off of Urza Saga, so like, like Chalice isn't like that big of a deal. But
No, I'm
like,
saying like with prison, like Blood Moon and Magus.
yeah, well, yeah, so like I have a Lotus Petal in the deck, but like you can just like proactively fetch your basics and like you can just like force it, right? Like, there's like dazes in the deck and then also force. So like if I'm just like not stupid, because like I've played against prison and it's like, they go turn 1 Vexing Bobble, turn 2 Blood Moon, and you know, the one game he goes turn 1 Shatter Skull Smashing into a Vexing Bobble. I fetched my planes, and then I had an island in my hand. So, like, it was, like, cool. Like, I can't play Nadu, like, but, like, I can play the rest of my deck. Like, it doesn't
Right.
matter.
Right.
And then, and, like, so, like, Vexing Bobble's still an issue, like, with Blood Moon. Like, if you have both in play, it's an issue. But, like, not really, because you can just, like, play through it. Because, like, I can just be like, okay, like, we're going to sit here for a while. I can still sword your things, and then eventually resolve to Fury, like, bounce your Vexing Bobble or whatever, and then, like, just combo off. Or, so, like, there's answers for it. Like, I haven't felt, like, yet, really, that there's, like, oh, like, I don't have an answer against this deck, and this deck, and this deck. It's, like, the amount of times that I've been like legitimately I can't play through something or I don't have the capability of having an answer for this has been very, very few times. So like the way the deck's constructed and the way that like the matchups play out, it has been very it's been very interesting. So like definitely really high on the deck right now.
So I have been, just to update. So I think I'm still, I know in the last episode I talked about wanting to not do the main event, but after this week's leagues, like I'm feeling pretty good on the list that I'm on. So I might be doing the main event. Off Caves of Adventure. I've been practicing with what is it, Charlotte? It's a Ravnica. Let me log into my mana traders real quick. It's a Ravnica remastered card, or Ravnica Clue card, and it's been super solid, especially like in the mirror. I will say that NADU has been a bit of an issue with it, but other than that, it's been pretty solid. Let me pull up, but it's actually felt really good to the point where I might actually get into the main event. So I've been playing. What is her name? It's a super weird card.
Lelia.
No.
Not Lelia. Lelia's been real good.
It has been. Charlotte, Ravnica.
Red Stompy?
Yeah.
Have you been playing Pyrogoyf? That's the question. Because that card is. You're like one of the original pioneers of Pyrogoyf.
I introduced that, and everybody on the Discord thought I was crazy. And I'm like, listen, guys.
Yeah.
And then you can copy it with our freaking Goblin Shaman creator. Like, this is pretty good. This is pretty awesome. But the list has felt super good, so there's a really good chance that I'll be playing this in the main. I think I'm going to be playing the Rabble Masters, though, as well. Just being a little bit more aggressive. Yeah.
You're really high on Rabble Master, really.
Not 4 of, but
I mean, that's surprising to me. Like, I mean, granted, I don't know, but like, I would not expect, at least on the other side of the table, like Rabble Master being the best thing that you could do.
So the two bodies is super nice. I mean, we're starting to do like the deck's getting a little cluttered with, the 4 drops. So
Right.
looking to bring it down
Are
because
you
I do
playing
want to do
Ring?
some, yeah.
Yeah. 4?
But yeah.
Yeah.
And here, this is an example. I'm not going to do 4 Magus. I'm going to do 2 Rabble Master. Share screen.
Okay. But you're doing like 4
Um,
Pyroglyph, 4 Ring, and that's like a lot of 4 drops, right?
yeah. So again, this is similar, except I'm pulling out
Mhm.
these. I'm going to go 2 Pyroglyphs and 2 Rabble Master because of having the Graveyard Hate,
Where's the
right? So
Pyroglyph? There's no Pyroglyph.
no, that's why I said 2 of the Magus will be. I don't run 8 Moon. This was the closest thing to my list, so let me actually see if there's a better one for what we've been doing. Sun Eruption, fun card. There. So instead of the caves, yeah, here we go. So 2 Rabble Master, 4 Goyfs. We're
Okay.
back to Vexing Bauble. I'm off of Chalice.
Yeah.
I've been a devout Chalice, but I'm feeling the Vexing Bauble is definitely a lot better. So
Oh yeah.
these are kind of my 4 flex slots right here with the Caves of Chaos Adventure. I think that it's, again, with 4 mana, it's quite a bit. So I'm going with 2 Rabble Master and then playing around with the 2 Lelia and then 2 of the right now it's 2 Charlottes. I want to say it's Charlottes that are in there. Basically with attacks, it has haste, it attacks, and when it comes out, it's unblockable. And then you exile your top card, and then you get it at the beginning of your next upkeep. You exile the card when you have mana, and you can play it. Because what I noticed with Lelia, it's great that you get that card, but a lot of times, like, we don't have the benefit of a lot of extra mana. So it's great that that card's there in exile, but I can't do anything with it, right? That
Yeah.
sucks when you have a ring and then, the ring could win you the game and then it disappears when you finally get mana. So with this new card, I've been able to cast it and make better choices come, next turn. We can actually see what that card is and get a little bit of card advantage. So I've been messing around with that
Like
a little bit.
it scales better.
I think it does.
Yeah.
Do you like
Um,
mono red over Gruul?
yeah. Yeah, so I have Gruul Aggro with me here in Vegas. Hoping to playtest a little bit tomorrow with it. But I don't know what the green would give me. Is that what you're asking? Is it the Gruul?
Yeah, there's a Gruul version. Obviously, you get Elvish Spirit Guide and you get Under Mountain Adventurer and you play Mist and Boo.
Yes. So that's the version that I have. Okay, we're talking about the same one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have it built. It's here with me. So I'm gonna try. Like I'm gonna start like playtesting a little bit. So I think it might run. I can grab it real quick. I think it runs the Mox Diamonds too.
Yeah, it runs Chrome Mox and Vaccine Bobble, a Blood Moon, and
so
just having
I
Mist and Boo. I thought maybe that'd be a bigger advantage.
Yeah, so I do have it with me, so I'm gonna give it the old college try. So I mean that's definitely an option, just leaning heavy into that initiative piece. But yeah, I'm gonna play test it a little bit this week.
Well, with like Simians and Elvish Spirit Guides, you can turn 1 it like a lot more consistently, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like just like turn 1, like what was the 3 mana guy? White Plume. Yeah, like you can just like White Plume, turn 1, like good luck. The initiative's busted. It's a vintage deck. Like it's good.
Yeah, you can hit both the initiative guys, the Caves of Chaos.
I guess probably why it's like
Under Mountain Adventure.
Maybe like why it's better in vintage is because like there's less Force of Wills running around in vintage, right? Like everybody's like more like on dredge deck, so I mean like maybe that's why, because like a lot of people do like Force of Will and Legacy, so and well now Vexing Bubble's restricted in vintage, so like that's a thing too. But so So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like interesting because like it's just, less prominent there. So like, yeah, maybe just like mono red's better, right?
Well, I
Yeah, and
mean,
that's what
anytime you can turn one a Blood Moon in
Right.
Legacy, that's pretty good.
Yeah, like turn one blow, like that's even like devastating, like against me.
Yeah.
Like, and I've beaten it, like, but it's just like it's like, oh shit, like Blood Moon, that's
Well,
not good.
if you could turn one a Blood Moon, you probably got it locked up.
Yeah.
So I had
So
I don't know if this is going to show up. So this is that card that I was talking about that I was diligently. Can you guys see it on the screen?
Yeah. Enters the battlefield.
Yeah.
Creatures target player controls can't block. That's another good one with like your what's the 3-mana like land destruction one that they can't block.
Sundering Eruption.
That one, yeah. If you exile the top card, you may look at it and play it. Yeah, that's interesting. That's 4 mana though.
Right. So
It's
and that's
easy
the
to do.
thing. Oof. 4 mana, that's a lot of mana though, dude.
But
like if you're not playing the One Ring, like I don't know. Like it's cool.
There's better 4-drops I would want to play over it, obviously, but
Right.
you could do this turn one with Chromox and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a harder, and like if I'm gonna turn one anything, like I'm not gonna turn one this over a One Ring. I'm not gonna turn one this over a Caves of Chaos adventure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I worry about the caves though giving basics.
I mean,
right?
I mean, it gives you your basic, and then it's like I have this giant threat that you have to deal with now.
no.
Like this is just like I have this threat that you have to deal with. Like Caves is like I give you a land and then a threat. Like it's I don't know. Like I think I'm more scared if you turn one Caves me than if you turn one this. Like
True.
if you turn one this, I'm like, okay, like that's cool. But like Caves, like the mana is a big deal, really.
So
It is.
I worry about too the fatal push. A lot of the fatal push that's in the meta right now. So when Caves comes in, boom, we get the initiative, right? So after that, they kill your thing. They deal 1 damage. So now they're on it, right? So now they're starting to work through that while I'm trying to reestablish a threat. So that's why I worry a little bit about having Caves in the deck, just because there is so much removal and them being able to take that. Being able to take that initiative back.
I don't think though, like a lot of decks, like okay, so like let's just say like blue black for example, or like even Eldrazi, like you go turn one, in theory, turn one Caves, I get the initiative, I get a basic. Turn one on their play, they like fetch fatal push it, right? You go to your turn, you're like, cool, can't put counters on, so like you go to the archives, you create a treasure token, right? That's the other side of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, cool, now you just like double mana ramp yourself, and you still have the initiative. And then in theory, they're gonna have to play Psychic Frog, and then they're still gonna wait another turn before they get their combat step to do anything about it. So like, you still get a lot of value from the initiative. I get putting the initiative into play is like a liability in a way, but like when you could do it like turn one or like even turn two, and then also like you're just inherently playing Blood Moons, which are good against like 4 Underground Sea deck. I don't know. I'm like again on the other side of the fence, and I don't play the deck, but on the other side of the fence, I am more scared to see a Caves of Chaos adventure than I am to see that card.
A 5/3 with trample, that's intimidating.
It's intimidating. Yeah. Yeah. It's intimidating. And then like, oh, cool. Every turn that you don't have the initiative, like I just get more advantage. Like, sure. Like, yeah, it's intimidating. So I wanted to like go into the last kind of thing that I've been kind of high on lately.
Yeah.
So to kind of like wrap things up, I think that like a cast is a deck again, right?
Really?
Yeah. So, I've seen a couple of people do like well with it. Like, I mean, pseudo, I don't know, like, 20 days ago, a month ago. Yeah, like just your like Thought Monitor, like, Lotus Petal Chalice of the Void, like Ancient Tomb, Urza Saga deck. Because like there's no Bowmasters anymore, right? It's kind of scary to play against. Like even with Vexing Baubles existing, like it's kind of scary to play against. because the deck is just like doing a thing again. And I would not be surprised if like at Eternal Weekend, because again, people play what they own, right?
Right.
Like it's like people don't have the necessary luxury to just like own everything, like, right? Like you could be like, hey, I want to play this, and like you have the cards, like I have the cards, Jake has the cards, right? Like you can just be like, I want to build this, and like I'm gonna play this. Like I pivoted to Breakfast, sure, like have the cards, no big deal. But like a lot of people are like, hey, I want to play Eternal Weekend. I don't want to spend $5,000 on a Magic, Legacy deck. So, to buy the dual lands and stuff, and like this deck's like $2,000, like if that. So, yeah, like just playing like oh cool, like I have Emery and like Karn and Force of Will and Chalice of the Void, like
Not one, but
these
two
are all.
cards.
Yeah, like they have like, Karn the Great Creator, phenomenal card. I'm sure Brian Cook would love to play against that card. Like it's a great card. But like just this strategy of, like I'm gonna like dump my hand on turn one, like cool, you're doing something unfair, but I'm doing something really unfair. Like in this, like you can almost invalidate Vexing Bobble just on the principle that like you are on the play. And then like Patchwork Automaton like is a real threat because like it's really hard to kill with Fatal Push. It's really hard, like so like
that ward is big.
Yeah, like these are just like, I think this deck, if I was going to go to Eternal Weekend and I didn't have the dual lands, I didn't have like, the budget to just like play blue-black or like arbitrarily the best thing, and I was like, I want something that I think secretly is like really good. 8 cast, definitely top of the list. Like it's affordable and it's really not that bad position right now.
Yeah, $1,400.
And if you want to talk about an affordable deck that you could just win out of nowhere, I would go with Ruby Storm.
Yeah, Ruby Storm too. Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah.
Like in that card, or that deck doesn't care about Vexing Bobble, right?
No.
Yeah. Like Ruby Storm, 8 cast, I think these decks are like super affordable and super like decently positioned right now.
Yeah,
especially like
funny. I saw this. It's called Gamble Storm.
Oh,
it's a wild
his
list.
Stuff's always silly though. If he has Grim Monolith in his deck, he's happy, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh well, no, he has Lions at Diamond, same difference. He has Lions at Diamond, same difference.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tony's happy. I'm happy if I have Plowshares in my deck, and he's happy if he has like Lions at Diamond or like Grim Monolith. You know what I mean?
All right, guys. Well, it is getting late. I'm going to head off to dinner. Thank you guys so much for joining tonight. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your evening to make this happen while I'm out at the old Magic Con. So, and again, listeners, thank you so much for watching. Our last episode had like 300 views. So thank you so much for viewing. Thank you for the likes. That keeps us going. We do appreciate it.
Like and
Until
subscribe.
Next time.
That's what they say, right?
Yeah, like and I think that's what the YouTubers say, right? Ring the bell, like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
One day we'll be cool like those YouTubers.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Have a good evening. We'll talk soon. See ya.
All right, see you guys.